Welcome back to season 4 of the Quake. We have issues with the internet. I am 40 Lions, joined by ZSX. We just saw, well, some of us just saw the conclusion to set number 1 between Hran and Sib. Sib taking that 2. And sorry for leaving there. Slight problems. Looks like I'm still having them. It's okay. It's poetry in motion. I'm trying my best. Next up, we have av3k versus Zenaku.
Yeah, no worries. I actually preferred it when you DC'd, but I'm looking forward to this set. You know, we've got the I want to say up and coming Zenaku, but he's not. He's more than established now in that top tier of player against one of my favorite players to watch. Don't worry, my friend. It's okay. I can continue to carry you for another 16 weeks. Up against the brute force of av3k. And I think this one's more of a battle of shape than anything else, because we just know how incredibly dedicated Zenaku is to the cause. And so if he's coming in this off the back of a really strong World Championship, maybe a little not as strong as he would have wanted it to be, but still impressive, he might be in top tier shape, whereas av3k might have to work his way into this series and this league.
Yeah, I mean, I would say up-and-comer is way far gone for Zenaku by now, right? He's had such great sets with, you know, Rafa, everyone else that's kind of pushed him to his limits, but also taught him. I think he's already up and he's already come, so to speak, Dan. So this one should be good. I still go back to av3k's analogy of it's like a boxing match, right? So maybe he hasn't boxed in a while, but you never really forget. So seeing this first map and how it starts between these two should be exciting. We got Blood Covenant. Actually, we could just look at the pick bands on the screen while I read them out. Sorry. Blood Covenant, Molten Falls, and Veil. And then why don't you run me through the champs while I suffer here and see what's going on?
I mean, okay. av3k has his habit of just picking who the hell he wants to play, and he doesn't even really care what his opponent brings. That's what it feels like anyway, because this first map in the Slash versus the Visor feels a bit crude to me. It's just difficult as a matchup when, as a Visor, you have absolutely zero utility to really counteract that Slash. Because even if you really have that piercing sight up, unless you get the perfect angle to use it with, it doesn't feel like it has a huge amount of impact. Obviously, if he can play safe, read his opponent, and use the piercing sight, then it comes in handy, particularly if you are connecting with your shots. But it's just incredibly difficult on a map like Blood Covenant, which lends itself to the speed of Slash. So that's a bit quirky to me. Molten Falls is definitely a bit more to the standard meta of what we're going to see there now, with the Scalebearer band, which Zenaku might have picked. We do see another Nyx on that map, and it's going to be a fan favorite throughout this whole season, in fact, on a map like Molten. But the Ranger offers that close the gap potential with the Orb, which definitely the Scalebearer didn't have in Series 1. So that's definitely going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And then Veil, likewise, we have another Galena, which is an av3k special. He always tries to pick the same champions if he can on each map, and Veil is definitely a favorite of his there. I do expect him to play it in a similar way to Hran, which is using the totems more as utility to restack during the fights than necessarily building an overstack. But the Struggle Peak is, I wouldn't say massively unusual there, but slightly off meta. Even still, it does offer a lot of good utility with speed and the burst of the Pika. So yeah, pretty good matchups throughout. I would only really say that map 1 is the most one-sided, where I would generally always look to favor a Slash.
So in terms of overall picture, if you know, obviously predictions are important, but this one too close to call, you think that Zenaku's on a hot streak, or well, how you feeling about it, Dan?
I would say playstyle-wise, av3k has an upper hand and would generally want to counter what Zenaku generally brings, who wants to play a lot more stable, play his rhythm, whereas av3k's very good at breaking that through. I'm gonna actually side with Zenaku on this. I just feel that I would expect him to come into this just being sharper and more on form. And he's always very good at pushing no matter who he plays to the limit. So that, coupled with the fact that he has a very solid playstyle nonetheless, and will probably just be more in tune with the league, I'm going to side with Zenaku as a 2-1.
Zenaku with a 2-1. I guess to be contrarian, I'm going to have to say av3k 2-1, but it's also within the realm of possibilities. It's not that outlandish, to be honest. So we will see, chat. I don't know if you want to make some noise in chat for who you want to win or who you think's going to win. We don't need actual official predictions, all right? Just say it with your chest out there, and we will load up map number 1 shortly. And hopefully I'll stick around to see it. Who knows? QPL is full of surprises this season, starting off season 4 with a bang, Dan. It's great.
Couldn't have started any better, could it, 40?
It's so good. It's so good. It's always my fault, too. At first, I thought it was Nyx, but it's not. It's just me. I got fat feet. I don't know what to say. Just kicking power cables out like a crazy person. But yeah, again, as we mentioned before, starting the season out with a W is going to be pretty good. You want that momentum, and especially when you could beat someone that, they used to kind of room together and be boot camp partners. So I think deep down, you always want to win, but it's also a little bit more where you're just like, I kind of know how you play. Like, I think I could take you between these two. Obviously good friends, but still, I mean, putting up that W is going to be huge. You want that money, especially if you can win all three. More power to you. Get some more change in your pocket. But strong start to the season begins with your first set, and this is going to be av3k and Zenaku doing their first set.
Definitely, it just gives you that boost of confidence going into the season and gives you some momentum as well. And definitely the points looking more and more important this season as opposed to just last season as well. We also saw in the finals how important the seeding plays out. So I think there'll be more credence given to just winning the whole set as well, more than anything else.
We are live on map number 1 now. A little bit of a throwback onto Blood Covenant as av3k doing his best Kron impression here. But he also has LG and Machine Gun and also has the sight held onto it. Usually you see players pop that, and there it is 15 seconds in, just to let Zen kind of play through his progressions first and then try and catch him out. So I like the play from av3k now, slowing it down. Tri-bolt out, doesn't have rockets to work with, but still wants to try and get some damage out if he
There you go.
can.
More than
so
a little
much
bit.
damage!
More than a little bit. And that is definitely something av3k is probably the best in the world at now, which is just being able to maximize his damage output at all given times. Zen, though, knows the timing right there, does scoop it away. av3k, as you say, without that rocket, reluctant to make a move, just trying to manage the distance between the two. And that's what he's going to have to do against the Slash. It's either play the choke points, try and force her into those, or play the distance game. And at the moment, without those rockets, he has just sold himself onto that distance game.
It's very impressive what he's done without rockets, but yeah, sooner or later he's going to need those. It looks like he's going to make his way onto those potentially right now, but first wants to prioritize the Mega as he should. Almost gets a fantastic rail down below on Zen, and he's going to use this opportunity, knowing where he is, to try and pepper in some damage before the pickup. Zen with the rail right before the pickup, wants some damage after, but pays the price. And this is all kind of coming up av3k right now, Dan.
It is. He really needs that rocket before he can make a confident move onto any one of these major items. Yes, all this damage has been great, but at the same time, he's just given up the full map. Zen has everything to work with. He does make a move now. He knows the timing, but Zen once again gets that heavy. Wow, indeed. Zen goes away very low, but he gets it nonetheless. He also knows there's a bit of time before this next round of major items. av3k's going to make a move, and Zen does respect that. He's got a rail, though. Can he connect? The answer is no, sirree.
I really thought that av3k had that LG pinned, but Zenaku with the heavy armor saves his life. He pulls it out. He's up a frag, looking to add a little more damage to it. He's making his way over. Beautiful movement there with the Slash to get across, grab the rockets, and cut off for heavy. And okay, av3k just wants a piece of it. There's the LG, but Zen, again, using that speed to get away.
Yeah, and there's maybe a little bit of sign of rust as we talked about. 2 or 3 seconds late for that heavy. Again, good maneuver to push on through. Zen is more than happy just to cycle these major items, delaying the Mega a little bit more, maybe just to offset that timing from av3k. av3k being av3k, doesn't really care about the major items at this point in time. He's definitely getting the better of this distance game. Zen yet to find his feet in this set in terms of pure damage, but now av3k himself got himself back onto the major items.
Really nice rail there, though. Makes him pay at least a little bit for it. Rocket for the cutoff. Unfortunately clips the wall, but a warning shot as av3k takes the stairs and goes towards rockets. Instead, Zenaku waiting at the Mega. Turns around just in time to see the rail fly by him, but now they exchange rails. There's a great one from Zen to add on, and av3k down to 25 HP, make that 50, but he's going to drop down. This could be curtains, but Zen needs to be careful. Can't drop on that LG, but he will at the right time. There's the middle finger, and there's the buckshot to get him down, just barely, damn.
Yeah, Zen definitely took way more damage than he needed to, and this has given av3k a little bit of confidence to push on in here, and Zen has to forfeit that heavy. So, what could have been an easy frag did turn into more of a complicated situation for Zenaku, but he is just cycling that Mega with precision. Great damage from av3k. Can he finish off the Slash right here? You really do need to try and capitalize and make the most of all these weaknesses when the Slash has it, but it's not to be. He has to even stay on that low ground.
There's the vision popped, and actually, okay. Style points, maybe? A rocket clipping the bridge, sending Zenaku flying, but he is able to get a little more damage after the fact. But nonetheless, heavy goes to av3k. Needs to be careful around the corner. Rails exchange. He wants to finish it. There's the Mega pickup to save Zen's life and maybe turn it around, but he can't land the rail. Doubles back for another attempt. Can't do it. Maybe a third will land. There's a rocket. Forces av3k down into the catacombs near the LG. But wow, that was tense for a moment there, Dan.
Yeah, but Zen knows time is on his side before the next major item, so he's just going to use this period to manage the area, make sure that av3k isn't around with any traps or shenanigans. av3k just trying to get some timing from down below there. Did pop the piercing sight as well, so that was used to just pick up the timing, try and control the Mega as well, which he has done. So he's building his way back into this set 40, but at the moment, what started as really great damage output and being clinical has been a bit sloppy since then, not connecting with much damage whatsoever from av3k's side.
There's the full push for the heavy, little bit of rocket damage, sends him down the stairs again. Very odd positioning here from av3k. He's kind of stuck in no man's land, but he's able to LG bully his way towards the heavy and snag it. Zen just didn't want to drop down. Wise choice, able to double back and grab the Mega. So good on av3k for at least trying to cycle one of the items, grabbing the heavy. But as you said, he needs that damage output. He's missing shots. He needs to be able to chip down Zen before, you know, trying to go for that frag and put his first frag on the board. We've hit the 5-minute mark. av3k trailing by 2.
Zen also knows how vulnerable a Slash is, so he is trying to protect his stack as carefully as he can and wants to make sure he's always in a position to fall back on a major item. He definitely doesn't want to be pulled into any close range encounters as av3k is trying to force the issue once again right here. But able to trade major items and trade rails at that, so they'll be on fairly similar stacks, and av3k has to start the process all over again. And you can see great reach from both of them, but Zen has the upper ground right here. He's railable as well, so...
Oh,
not a
what a
fall.
rocket.
Oh, there's piercing sight. Zen just has to stand his ground. He can't do anything here. He's been forced away. Major items, though, 40 on a similar timing, so once again, they can just fall back, try and trade, which they will do.
Oh, just beautiful from Zen right here. He's going to go for the kill shot. Oh! Great rail from av3k as he drops down. He should be able to get this Mega. Is Zen going to be fast enough? Just missing out on the ability to cut off there. So again, items traded, but good damage from both players now.
Very different from the previous set, which is a lot more chaotic. This is far more controlled, both playing incredibly smart. Just the execution letting both of them down. As you said right there, good play from Zen to manifest a kill opportunity, just not able to execute. Similarly for av3k, he's putting in all the work to force this Slash onto the back foot, but unable to close the gap and finish her off either. But we still have plenty of time with 3 minutes to go. If av3k can get a frag, particularly a clean frag, the follow-up is always going to be there.
Great rail. Can he hit the follow-up here? Zenaku stack looking pretty good. No vision for av3k for at least another 7 seconds as Zen just trying to figure out which way he's going to go. 50-50 chance. There's the rail missed from av3k again. Zenaku might be able to push this. Just wanted to re-up on rails. Nice movement there again to try and double back. Maybe do some damage at the Mega now.
Nice. And that's the perfect use of the piercing sight, where av3k can come in so incredibly strongly against the Slash, because if you're able to connect with your shots while you're using the piercing sight, the Slash has no recourse. She's incredibly weak and lightweight. Without the stacking abilities of the Anarchy or the get-out claws of a Nyx, she becomes very vulnerable. This is what a great read from av3k. Zenaku knows what's going on, but can he get away is the question. av3k's in position, but Zenaku's not quite railable. He is now, though.
Really beautiful rail from Zen there to keep him alive.
Just can't get a grip on the speed of the Slash.
Too hard to chase, and now he's got 2 minutes to try and chase. Yeah, that rail was pretty nuts. Straight down. That is not an easy shot there, but av3k plants it. Still down by 2. Zenaku has the speed on his side, healing up off that blood pool a little bit. Good defensive rocket, and av3k has to be careful.
But
just running through choke points now.
Yeah, he can't. Oh, what a rail, but still has to get away. Pops the piercing sight to try and defend himself here. The Slash knows he's weak. Is Zenaku playing safe? Quite happy to push on in, make his way around to the Mega. And now, with a minute and a half to go, is looking rough for av3k.
Zen getting Simon on the high ground, has the cutoff there. Good rocket from av3k though. Buys him some real estate. Drops down, tries to chase. Whoa, that rocket could have been brutal. A lot of machine gun coming out from both players.
I love that swap so much. He knew he needed consistent damage to chip down the stack of av3k. A rail wouldn't do, particularly if he misses. So lovely play by Zen. It's pretty much going to secure him this victory now as av3k has nothing to work with. Zen takes another major item. av3k has nothing to work with right now. He's run out of rails, he's run out of rockets, he's just trying to do anything he can, but 40 seconds to go. There's nothing he can really do. He's just desperately peppering away from range. Pretty much in blind hope at this point.
And Zen just not able to get that last shot to get the third frag. So if you're optimistic, maybe a miracle, but 25 seconds, I mean, against a Slash, pretty improbable. So well played to Zen. I mean, you kind of figured it would be this way based on the champs, but I figured it would be a little bit bigger of a score line, to be honest.
There's a lot of respect from Zen there, and he just understood the situation in that with the upper hand, there was not much he needed to do. He could quite happily just manage av3k, and that's exactly what he did. Yes, he didn't want to push his advantage. He was quite happy playing the items, playing the distance game, keeping control of positioning, because he knew if he made a mistake, av3k would be all over him, and then it could be, you know, a GG scenario. So really smartly and calculated play from Zen. Obviously took an early lead and then just played it out.
Completely agree. It's very easy when you're playing the speedy champions to just, I want to go fast all the time, but playing calculated, being able to use the speed wisely is exactly what we saw from Zen there, putting on a bit of a clinic with the Slash. And well played, but again, it comes into, you know, the factor of like, the Visor? Really?
Yeah.
Was that the pick that you wanted to go? I mean, I know av3k is amazing with Visor, but this matchup in particular just seemed like it didn't give him the edge he needed to try and even it out.
And
it didn't help him.
But this was a defining play. Dropping down with the LG is kind of risky at best. And Visor relies on that momentum. It relies on controlling the map. When you're playing on the back foot against a Slash, particularly a very smart Slash like Zenaku, we saw exactly what could happen. You cannot kill her, because even if you get her low on a map like Blood Covenant, she's often getting low while she's running away, and then she's out of your sight, out of your range, and there's not much you can do. And Zen did an amazing job just never to let himself be vulnerable. He respected the piercing sight. And he only really ever made a move when he was more confident with his stack or positioning. And the move was generally just to nullify his opponent, not to kill him.
So in terms of matchups, we went from Slash versus Visor on Blood Covenant. We're going to get into Molten Falls, and it's going to be Nyx versus Ranger. av3k on the Nyx, Ranger for Zen. How do you think that matchup plays out? Players aside, just the champions.
It's complicated because on the Nyx, you definitely want to be playing that high ground, trying to play a slightly slower tempo. With the Ranger, you can really push the advantage. You can use the rocket jump passage to get in and out, particularly around the heavy area and even the mega area. And you also have that orb for the burst potential, or to chase, or even to get away. So you have a lot of flexibility on the Ranger. It often comes down to obviously the control. If you have that full control as a Nyx, you can play incredibly fast, incredibly aggressive, and always with an ego. But on the back foot, a lot more calculated. So I imagine it'll play out in a fairly similar way to what we saw this in that av3k is playing quite calculated, picking his way in before he makes his move, whereas Zen will be slightly reserved to begin with and work around the orb to most extent.
Yeah, I mean, the orb can be absolutely backbreaking, so we'll see if Zen utilizes that for damage, closing the gap to get the frag, or how it works. Or if av3k can start off strong, dictate the pace, and then you're playing a game of I'm going to chase the Nyx with Ghost Walk, which could be a complete pain in the ass. But Zen, you know, fantastic showing on map number 1, looking to maybe sweep in 2 to take the set, but av3k trying to fight back. As he said before, it's a boxing match. So going into the second round here on Molten Falls between these two, av3k versus Zenaku, is live now. Can av3k do it? Can he send us to a third as a decider?
Yeah, but this particular map, particularly with these champions, is very much tempo control. You don't want to be too aggressive to force your way out. If you get that big split on the items, you can really just force your opponent into the middle of nowhere because there's not a lot of resources outside of that. And it's tough to play on the back foot here.
Just hearing the footsteps, deciding what he wants to do here. The heavy is up behind him. He's just playing the sound game. Nice delay, figuring out exactly where Zen is before he snags that. But even still, the items are pretty much in sync for the next round.
Bang on, in sync. Question is, does either one of these players want to make a maneuver either to challenge their opponent's item, which it looks like Zen is doing, or just to split the two. You can see av3k also playing slow, trying to get a read on the opponent. He knows exactly what's up there. He knows his opponent's up there. He has a retreat onto the Mega should he need it.
Ooh. Free first rail, almost gets the second one here. Goes up the jump pad to buy a little space. Grab the tri-bolt as well before he falls back on to the heavy. And now the items are going to be split whenever av3k decides to pick it up. But Zen is close enough to maybe hear this pickup. And yeah, just sitting on the other side of the wall, wants to be able to tell exactly when this item is up. And a little fake telly, or jump pad rather, from av3k canceling with the jump pad. And he just wants this damage. He's just leaving this up for almost a full cycle here, Dan.
I think he was trying to bait out his opponent and offset that timing for Zenaku, maybe. Trying to make sure Zen thought he got it on the jump pad. So nice play by av3k, got his position above as well. Good damage coming down, but Zen with the maneuver, instant on the retaliation from av3k. So he's busted out that Ghost Walk, phase 1. Doesn't know exactly when the timing is of this heavy though, but he knows it's going to be in and around this timing. So good play from Zenaku here to force that out and keep Nyx on the back foot.
Not bad at all as heavy goes into his pocket, takes the jump pad up. av3k hears it, waiting, praying that he rides the LG, but instead, what a great rail there.
No warm up as
Potential
well.
Here.
So this is what we talked about, that cagey start 40. They're both just testing each other, neither one really to make a commitment. And it is definitely a map where it could be first frag wins it, so they know how important it is to get that frag and try and get a clean one. Zenaku just going to forfeit. av3k once again putting a delay on the items. Zen hears it. He knows he can get across to this. Oh, av3k's going to use it and be late though. He's going to get some damage, but definitely not enough, in my opinion, to use that Ghost Walk.
Yeah, interesting play there, but I was more concerned with the rockets. av3k's down to 1 rocket, couldn't really get into a mid-range close fight with those, even after the Ghost Walk. Trying to tickle with a little bit of LG. There's the last rocket, actually has some more just in case. There's the orb for a little bit of misdirection. Ghost walks out in case it all goes wrong, and just missing that rail on the exit for Zen would have been good damage to have for this next Mega. Can he beat him there? There's the rocket, and he does, and Zen caught sleeping a little bit, and this one is looking good for av3k here, but kind of gives him a layup rail there as he tries to cut off and get a little aggressive.
Yeah, maybe overextended himself just there. Painful to lose that stack as a Nyx, and he picks up the light for his troubles as well. Zen knowing that is in position to try and punish, but he's not wanting to commit at this stage, so extremely reserved and respectful play by Zenaku, just trying to play the advantage. I think he knows that there's a Ghost Walk up, and he does. av3k in position here to try and take this Mega, waiting it out. Zen has his orb should he need it.
Good dodge from both players there.
Cagey.
Ooh, a little bit of tri-bolt, I like it, but luckily light armor is there, because now it's going to be a mad dash for the heavy. 1 rail for av3k. He's going to fall back. He knows that he has to give that one up. Nice cagey chess match here on Molten. Missing with that rail. Let's give Zen an opportunity. There's the Dire Orb to close the gap. Will the LG win? And no, there's av3k's LG that we were waiting to see. Just absolutely melts Zen as he tried to throw that Hail Mary and make something happen, but av3k goes up 1-0.
I think you say it, like, but why are you Hail Marying 4.5 minutes in? He didn't do anything to forge an opportunity to be within his right. Oh no, av3k doesn't get the item, has to force it out, so it's not the end of the world, but just a little bit of mistake. But either way, my point is, Zen didn't do anything to manufacture that push. It's 4.5 minutes of calculated play. Oh, the Ole, but he can't hit with the shotgun! What?
I mean, I've always said the hardest gun in the game to master, the shotgun, will not come up clutch for av3k, unfortunately, as Zen is able to tie it at 1. Rail around the corner. A lot of LG is going to need more. There's a double jump, goes under, and there's the shotgun from Zen and says this is how it's done. 2-1, and the heavy, and he really didn't take a lot of damage. This might be real rough here for av3k, and he can't even get the LG off the spawn. Luckily, able to make a break for the rockets, though, but damn.
Oh dear.
It's getting scary.
Yeah, Zen knows there's no weaponry to work with here. Should be pushing a little bit harder in my opinion, but Zen is respecting that, so trying to catch him on the exit. He knows he hasn't got any weapons to work with, so Zen does not want to let him out of here, but also knows that the Ghost Walk might be up soon. I don't know if he saw it on the first instance. So either way, lovely push by Zen off the back of the spawn to realize he could finish off and get a 1 frag lead. av3k, though, already built himself back into this set, just needs a rail now.
Just needs a nice warm glass of milk right now. 2-1, less than 4 minutes. That Triball's just going to give him enough information to know that he can make a break for the Mega, but needs to be careful about the rail angle, and av3k will just miss out again. Taking a quick peek here, shooting 35%. Zen, to be honest, 27%, so the rail not really a factor for either player here. Nothing too crazy. As Zen tries to get a rail vertically, will miss. There goes the armor to av3k. As Zen has to replenish rockets, and here's the right read for the cutoff on the stairs. Ooh, beautiful rail. Even off the wall jump, Zen's able to land a shot. He's on the run, though.
Zen realizing he needed to take the most difficult angle to get out of there, so lovely, smart play by Zen. He has given up that Mega, obviously, but he's just doing a good job of playing around it. Again, very similar to map 1, just playing these defensive positions, respecting the aggression of av3k and the play of av3k.
Oh!
Lovely. And punishing av3k for overextending.
Yeah, really nice weapon switch to close it out. We saw it on the second frag as well. Zen looking comfortable, up by 2, less than 3 minutes. I mean, if you're av3k, what do you start trying to do? What do you change here? Is 2 rails in a row, trying to force the situation onto the Mega, do some fancy footwork to pick up an item, but now you're down 3.
Yeah, no, it's tough to say what do you change as av3k, because it's basically Zen just doing a great job of playing around his lead now. He knows that av3k's the one that has to make the move. It's almost a spinning image of map 1 when he was on the slash. He's just playing slow, he's playing around the items and waiting for overextensions of av3k. It's extremely difficult.
Really nice rail there. Should be able to end this one. Oh, okay. At least gets the ghost walk out. But you can see the confidence. I can tank whatever you have in your arsenal. Just wanted the shotgun blast to finish it.
And it's kind of played out the way we talked about for it, in that Zen very much played around that orb. As soon as he knew he had the orb and av3k was in a more vulnerable position, he was quite happy to close that gap, but otherwise it was very cagey, just making sure he got the right items, didn't overextend himself, and just almost waited for av3k to make a mistake. Definitely av3k not being as clinical as we would have expected him to, which was handicapping his advances slightly. Neither one of these connecting heavily, but at the same time, they were both playing cagey, making difficult angles for their opponents, so it was a tough matchup.
Definitely well played from Zen there. Looking very strong in this set. Takes the second map as well, as the GG was called by av3k, so just a bit of a victory lap for Zen. A little bit of time to think for av3k to try and reset, to try and at least get the last map. But Zen does take the series 2-0. And again, regular season, we play all 3 maps because it's all money and all for seeding. So shortly, we will be going to Vale, where we're going to see Galena versus Strog. You think the Strog pick is a little interesting in comparison to what we've seen before on Vale, Dan?
It's not unusual by any means, but it's normally picked before we get to a map like Vale, which is partly why we don't normally see it as much. So I wouldn't say it's massively unusual. It has all of the right tools for a map like Vale. Obviously the sliding can be a little bit clunky if you're not accustomed to it, but if you know how to play around that, then it's perfectly good on a map like Vale. So still very, very strong. We know that av3k is more than competent on the Galena, so the question is, how is he going to approach this one? He's tried a couple of different strategies, neither which have worked so far. It's more Zen just adapting and playing extremely well on the defense against av3k. So what's av3k going to do to change that?
And showing his maturity overall in the game. I think we've seen Zen grow so much since his induction into the league and playing side tournaments, online tournaments, everything. He has come a long, long way, and he is on the doorstep of taking this set over av3k 3-0. And that's no small feat. That's a lot of progress that we've seen on his end.
Definitely. I think he's got a style that works for him. I definitely would like to see more of an X factor to him, where he can bully his opponents and take the game away when he's in that lead, but he's quite comfortable to play around how he feels comfortable at the end of the day, which is getting a lead, making sure he's adapting to his opponent. And an opponent like av3k, he's waiting for him to rush him, which is perfectly adequate. It can leave him vulnerable, though, if he's not building a sufficient lead, where if av3k's rush does work, then how do you get back into it? but at the moment Avik isn't, and Zenaku is adapting perfectly.
So going into Galena versus Strog, is there anything that you should, if you're playing the Galena, worry about facing a Strog on Veil? I mean, personally, I would have thought the Strog pick on Molten would have been a little better, but, you know, these players are pro for a reason, Dan, but you specifically, I mean, what tips do you have going against the Strog on Veil, where it is close quarters and the sliding doesn't matter too much, but it does give you that speed, does give you that health after you get fragged, so there is a little bit of an X factor there with the Strog pick.
There is, and I think the Strog would have been great on Veil as well, but what Zenaku really wanted on Veil was the passive and the AWP, and we saw it time and time again, like right here, trying to push in on that Nyx. If she's defending on above, both major items on this map have very similar defensive setups in that they've got this small ledge above it, and that's exactly what Zen wanted. As soon as he picks up the item, he can AWP in, close the gap against the Nyx before she could pop that Ghost Walk, and that's why the Ranger was so powerful compared to a Strog on this map. On a map like Veil, it's purely pretty much close combat. It's just being conscious that there's some creative angles you can use with the Pika, particularly on both major items you could hide and use the Pika, so that burst damage is always going to be there. And as you say, the refrag potential of Strog is powerful just because you have that restack from killing your opponent. So the two big things, the speed is relevant, but not always massive on a map like Veil. It's really difficult to maximize that. So it's just the burst potential and the refrag that you're going to be conscious of.
We'll see what happens if av3k has the power of Christ to compel Zen and take this at least map number 3, of course. And then Zen working on a clean sweep to start the season. Who better than him? What a great way to start season 4 if he's able to topple av3k in map number 3. But nothing's promised. There's 10 minutes that stand in his way, and he has to play perfectly just like we saw on map number 1 and 2.
And you can see he's more than disciplined from start to finish. If he does let slip, then av3k has always looked like he's in a position to capitalize. But at the moment, Zen really hasn't made a mistake. And if he can continue that, this will definitely be a 3-0.
Yeah, you got to love it. Being able to play that defensive, kind of stress out your opponent, make him say, I wish they would just peek one more time, but not giving him that opportunity. And that really could be the difference. As you said, game 1 was 2-0. Very, very close game. And this one, probably going to be more of the same. I see this within 1 or 2 frags, but this is going to be at map number 3 live between av3k and Zenaku here. Zenaku working on a clean sweep, potentially 3-0. Can he put it in the bag?
Can he? Oh.
Can we load up the map again? We will shortly. We just like to
Can
psych
we
you
even
out,
get
build
into
up
the
some
game?
drama, some suspense. That was also my fault.
I mean,
These clown shoes of mine just knocking power cables and everything out.
I'm so glad
I'm a
production
mess.
tell us when we're going on screen, so we're ready. But
I
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I'm getting all stressed out. My hair looks terrible. I don't know. Oh, God. All right.
You've never looked good, don't worry.
Yes.
What's
Then
the
the
chain, by
bar
the
is
way?
set low. What?
What's the chain, by the way?
This?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, it's just off the chain because we got chain playing later. I got to represent my boy. He's in the headline, one of the headlining games, you know? No? All right.
No.
I was really Putin in the work there. Tried my best.
You've used that before. You can't do that again.
Well, you remember. That means you love me. Anyways, we're going to load back
Or
up
you
map
haunt
number
me.
3.
I don't know which one it is.
Either way, it's a win for me. Chat, hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us. I did see DJ Wheat in there earlier talking about Scale Bearer, so we will see him shortly. It's been a while. It's been quite a long off season since we've
Papa
seen each
Wheat.
other. So Papa Wheat, I'm looking forward to his glorious hair. Maybe I could get some tips from him. I don't know. I can't afford a stylist like he can. So Daddy Warbucks will be with us shortly, but right now we're just trying to work on map number 3 for set 2 between av3k and Zenaku. Thanks for hanging in there, Chad, because honestly, you don't have a choice. So.
Map 2, and I'm already regretting this decision.
I know. Who keeps booking us together? This is ridiculous. Now, clearly they don't read your writer, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Map number 3. Zen again working on a clean sweep, which would be a fantastic way to start the season. av3k already losing out on the series, but still money in your pocket if you win this last map, and that never hurts. That never hurts. And again, the way the map went, at least map number 1, still pretty close. Interesting pick with the visor. I wouldn't worry about av3k right now. There's no signs to kind of panic or anything. It's very early in this season. We're ramping up as he plays more in the season. So.
He's definitely looking rusty, but at the same time, you have to completely put the respect on Zenaku, and I'm sure av3k's feeling quite frustrated that he just cannot do anything to break that defense of Zenaku. There was definitely various different tactics to use there, from ranging to be passive himself, using the rail, even going aggressive with the Ghost Walk, and nothing seemed to work. So absolutely well played by Zen to just be controlled and mindful of any potential output that av3k can bring.
All right, doing the time warp once again. Here we go. Map number 3 live between av3k and Zenaku. Nice, strong start from av3k here as he throws down the totem, grabs the heavy, almost gets some good machine gun damage, but just missing out. But able to replenish off those time vials. And again, the totems could be the saving grace here in av3k's corner.
Well, we thought that against Ron, and he was forced to use them in situations he didn't want to against Sib, who kept the pressure on. The question is, how will av3k do it? He's already put one down in a defensive position, showing he wants to get some overstack up, so that'll be the goal. There you go, there's a peek, a good use of it once again, as we talked about. Got some creative situations to use that, and that is definitely one of them. Good rail from av3k, but he's just so low. Zen's peppering from below, and he's going to bully his way in here.
Yeah, you gotta love that though. Zen waiting on the heavy, jumps across to get out of the line of fire, but still using the peeker to put the pressure on. And as you said, that's just one of multiple ways to utilize that. Really, really nice play right off the bat. And av3k doing a good job of making sure he's grabbing those vials. No real totem economy yet. But I'm still gonna keep my eye on that here. As there he throws the Hail Mary. What a rocket through the telly. Little bit of
Nice.
Wow. That was a struggle there for Zen. It's just crazy things were happening. The tellies, everything. Great rocket, great rail. Almost gets another, and there's a little bit of a pummeling LG. Zen turns it around.
This is what we're talking about. av3k's trying his best to really force his way in. He just sometimes unable to do so. So really nicely played there, tying it up.
Able to deal with the speed bump before running into it. Does have the peeker in the pocket. Is now waiting for that heavy. There's going to be a lot of damage here. Nope, taken out immediately. And actually, Zen takes a lot, just misses with that rail, does av3k, as he can double back to the mega.
av3k trying his darndest, but so far his rail all series hasn't been the best. Zen playing nicely defensive, lovely rail through the doorway there, though. That will hurt Zen. He must have caught once again. Can av3k connect? Yes, he can. Impressive coming out. But Zenaku hitting a clutch rail on the defense, meaning av3k has to second guess whether he wants to push. Instead, deciding to retreat to that heavy. Zen's in position for the mega, and knows the exact timing. Drops a little bit early, respecting the aggression once again.
Lots of rocket spam there, trying to keep av3k at bay as he makes his way through the telly. Heavy's not going to be up for another 15 seconds. That is an absolutely free mega for av3k there.
And the good thing about this map, unlike the previous two, is that av3k has more of a liberty to press his advantage and play the game which he wants to, which is closing the gap, getting into Zenaku's face. It's a lot more challenging for Zen to play as defensive as he wants to on this map. If he does that, he's often going to lose out on these major items.
Two totems now through the telly. Zen has to be extremely careful. Forced to really use the jump pad, and then from there, av3k can deal damage at will. There's a rail for av3k, looking for another one. Fake a jump pad for Zen. He just has to try and confuse him. He's stuck now, and there's the rocket. Just caught out is Zen.
And av3k's in the position that Ron was trying so hard to get in earlier, which is just having this split on the page between the major items, being able to bully his opponent. So av3k's already got into a nice solid position, changing Zen around the map. Pika comes out in desperation. It does a bit of damage, but nowhere near enough, as av3k has a mega to pull back on. He's building himself a nice lead already, 40.
Not bad at all. As another mega goes into av3k's pocket. Perfect timing on the heavy as well. Just missing out on the rail is Zen, and he's got to go back to the drawing board. He's got 6 minutes to try and figure out the solution to this one here, trailing 2, as av3k can just drop down. Zen missing all the rails he needs right now. Good peeker, but still dealt with nicely. Good rocket around the corner. The rail just missing out. Zenaku hanging by a thread here, trying to stay alive. Machine gun does hit a rail on the way out, but av3k finally knocks him down with the MG.
av3k this time though, mega's not up, and Zen punishes him. It was actually the mega's up, not the heavy. Sorry. Big mistake by av3k right there. Hasn't got that overstack as well as once again Tota's been cleared out. av3k's worked his way into bully, he's going off, but Zen come flying on through. He will get this. Won't go down, but he does take a lot of damage.
Sliding past all these tri-bolts here as av3k is able to grab the heavy. Trying to stop some of the bleeding here. As Zen has only gotten 4 major items. Trying to gain his way back into this item game here and cycle them a little bit more. 5 seconds to the Mega. Avek trying to get some damage here. This light armor almost hits the 2-piece. Does get a rail on the way out, but Zen knows the Mega's up. He can heal off of that, but this is going to be a big cutoff here from Avek. There's the totem, and oh, the peeker to the face!
Go. That's what you want to see with a peeker. Perfect utility of that, and Avek getting greedy once again, and this time Zen is able to punish it. Avek's pushing on in. Don't think he actually knows the timing here, as he's 10 seconds early, but what does it matter when you hit damage like that? Zen knows he's in the right to push on through, but Avek completely denies it, shutting that down.
Sometimes you just got to fall back on pure mechanics, and Avek has got plenty of those here as the rail misses for Zen. Avek trying to gain some space here at the upper platform. Does drop down to the heavy totem in the pocket. Still up by 1, but Zen looking a little stronger and stronger. Avek trying to maintain and extend this lead and get this 3rd map here. There's a little bit of totem damage as Zen goes flying through. Avek trying to position for a potential rail here, but Mega's not going to be up for another 12 seconds. Items very, very close, but not quite in sync, so Avek can kind of dictate where he wants to go based off where Zen is. Trying to read exactly what his opponent is doing here. Drops down. Can he get this rail? We've seen this before, just missing out on the opportunity.
At 4-3, though, Avek is definitely a bit more reserved than he would have been earlier in the game, just trying to maintain both of those items. Zen slowly building himself back into this series, picking up some major items finally, which means he himself can posture more aggressively. Great rail. You can see here he is chipping away at his opponent, making sure he can get back on the board, and just wants to make sure he controls this next round of items.
Big rockets here from Avek.
No way.
Wow. He's even playing off his spawn as well. Might get another one. Okay. Flying through is Zen with the LG, and Avek does drop onto the heavy. I really like that play from Avek there.
Yeah, it was so smart. Knew he could do so much damage to Zen. He would only have an LG. Absolutely no threat whatsoever to Avek. Nicely played.
Gets a freebie there, Zen. Crouch sliding around, trying to make something happen, trying to gather resources here to fight back with 2:30 left on the clock. Still trailing 2. And Avek's just doing a great job of maintaining the high ground, cycling the items, and taking fights on his terms.
Avek's more desperate right now to nullify his opponent than to get the items. He sees Zen going away, so he'll just scuttle around. Should even get both major items here, which is a huge blow to Zen's chances in this set. 5-3 is more than manageable on Vale with a couple minutes to go, but Avek's doing a great job right now. He knows he can push on in with the rail out, does so, forces his opponent through the TP into his totems, and there's the extension of the lead 40 with 2 minutes to go. What can Zen do to get back into the set? No items to his name.
It's going to take maybe a peeker miracle there to try to do the proactive play of peekering at the telly. Does do a lot of damage as Avek misses with the rail on the way back. There's Zen to try and cut it off, but the LG from Avek and the heavy armor just too strong.
Yeah, it was really nice by both of them, because if anything, the peeker was just to delay Avek so he could get that mega. So that worked to perfection, but at the same time, Avek knew exactly how much damage he could take, falling back onto that heavy. Zen left with no choice but to push on through with such limited time. And unfortunately, he was not able to do anything.
Oh, the read. Rocket sends him flying through the telly. Finishes with a rail. Beautiful shots from Avek there. As with a minute left, it looks like he is able to take this 3rd map. Make the set 2-1, put some money in his pocket, but very, very strong play from Avek here on map number 3.
Yeah, there were 2 big things for me on this particular map. One, Avek was able to impose his game style. A map like Vale, a lot more confrontational, combat heavy. He was able to get in, control the map, take away the items from Zen. And then secondly, he was hitting way more rails because of it, because he was the one on the advantage. He was able to take more positive positioning, and his rails was more clinical as a result. So, you know, Zen still played pretty well, but yeah, this was just exceptionally well played by Avek, who built his way into this series. Maps 1 and 2, pure discipline from Zen.
The final 10 seconds of this map will tick away. More LG. That's what we want to see from Avik. His LG can be absolutely disgusting, but that's it. The buzzer has rang. Avik books it, map number 3 in his pocket, but Zen will take the series 2-1. Congrats to him. As you said, fantastic play on map number 1 and 2. Not really bad on 3, but Avik was just able to assert dominance, play his game the whole way through, and dictate the pace from pretty much start to finish on them.
You could see there was some creative plays by Zen to try and get back into the set, but he just wasn't able to bully Avik. Avik was always the one doing the initiation damage, which meant Zen was approaching many of these fights on the back foot, having to take creative plays with the Pika or his positioning to try and steal away an item. And as you pointed out, barely had any items 3 or 4 minutes into the set, just because Avik was rotating, he had that split, and he was able to bully Zen onto the back foot. So it was a tough game by Zen, but he's going to be happy with a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Great way to start the season. Avik, not the desired outcome, but again, that boxing analogy, he's able to hang in there and put up at least one map as we take a look at the highlights from it. And again, it begs the question, kind of going back to the champ picks, maybe, if that really matters. I mean, at this level, it does make a difference, but I wouldn't say it's backbreaking unless it's something absolutely absurd. But yeah, you wonder.
I mean, we've seen Slash lose to Visors before on Corrupt.
Yep.
It is possible, but it does rely on the right strategy and getting that early lead, and you see what happens if that doesn't happen. And that was actually as a result of mistakes by Avik. Slightly mistiming, falling onto his opponent with LG. These were just rusty mistakes, and that cost him the map. Map 2 was just a good pick in the Ranger to retaliate against that Nyx, and you could see the playstyle and how difficult he made it for the Nyx. Whereas this, a lot more what would we normally expect coming out from Avik. So again, if we can see more of that Avik coming out throughout the season, then great. But to point it out, definitely would like to see a bit more versatility in his champion picks from Avik as well.
Fortunately for us, we have a long season ahead of us. A lot more Quake action, a lot more peaks and valleys for all these players as they're going to ramp up throughout the season. But yeah, I mean, that's a pretty great start from Zenaku. We kind of mentioned how we've seen him grow over the seasons and get better and better, not only mechanically, but strategically and also just mentally, being able to stay in the game and play that defensive style. I mean, under pressure, it's not easy to slow the game down, especially when you have a light, fast champ and you're kind of used to the speed running around everywhere. It takes a lot of discipline to be able to slow it down and play defensive. Definitely,
it does. And something Zen is very good at, he'll always get credit for. It's just his adaptability, and as you say, his kind of mental game is definitely what he's good at. But we see the challenges if that doesn't go his way in the last map. He just got bullied, and going toe-to-toe when it is even matches somewhere where he struggles. And so that's definitely a point of evolution that we've seen, for instance, in Max, that he's able to just take games away and have that X factor to his game, which is slightly missing from Zen across the board. But all the other ingredients are there for him to be that top-ranking player.
A lot of time to try and shore up some of those mistakes. Again, long season ahead of us, folks. That's 2 sets down. We got a lot more on the way, but we are going to go to a quick break, and we will return with Dramas versus Series, his debut in the Quake Pro League. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.